Hello, I'm Carissa. Mexican. Hello, I'm Carissa. Mexican and Italian with my heart. Came to Italy, followed by love for sport and outdoors. In Garda Lake, I have found stability for all my emotional sense. Every time I practice an activity, I put my heart, followed by determination and passion, with a daily achievement of love and comfort. Join me. I will lead you to a fascinating world of surprises. I again will do a little bit of workout today. Start stretching our legs. Put your hands together. Bend your knees and come down 4 or 5 times. Stretch your legs again, bend your knees, relax your head, and warm up your knees. Bring your arms up, open your legs wide open, and side to side, left hand, right feet, left hand. Relax your head and one knee, and stretch the arm behind of you. Raising your chin, breathing from the belly. Right hand and the opposite knee. Bend one knee with one big step. Bend the right knee and pull a little bit. Change. Wait for the count of 10-15 seconds. Breathing, chin down to the floor. We do a little flush of blood. Standing still with a plank for 1 or 2 minutes. Elbows to the ground, raising your chin and your feet, and breathe. A little bit of power just to wake up all your body, giving a little flash of blood to the heart and making our heart rate raising a little bit. For the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sit down to your knees, stretch your back, and relax. Relaxing your neck, breathing deeply. For a couple of seconds. Go up again. Open your legs wide open. Hands behind your neck. Give a little bit of power sit-ups. Bending your knees to the front. Giving a little bit of a push, a kick up. Sitting and raising your chest. Raising your chin. Keep your back straight as possible. Giving it a flush for 15 counts. Go to the bar, 1 meter away. Bend your elbows. Your hands are together. Bend your elbows and kick it back. Kick it back, away, giving a little bit of power. Every time you push, you pull, get down, your feet all the way down, breathing deeply from your belly, bending the elbows towards you, not on the sides. Down. Try to keep your hands as close together to each other. Walk. Give it a count of 20 times, let's say. You can start with 10, then 15. Then with the feet together, hands together, just pull and push. Push and go down slowly, breathing. Bending your elbows towards you. Push-ups from the bar. An easy way. Again, next to the line, raise one leg and bend the other one. Keep your balance from the bar, standing up and raising the leg. Feet up with one leg. Good for a count of 10 or 15 times. Give a little bit of power to the legs. Hold always to the bar so you keep the balance. Keep your back straight, chin up, change your leg and go down. Keep your leg that goes up straight and up. Your back straight. Breathe. If this is a little hard, just don't hesitate and stop and change the leg. 1 meter away, raise one leg, put it over the bar, stretch your legs, feel the power, stretch your leg most, try to put your chin to your knees, always with the eyes wide open. Changing again, do it at the count of 20 seconds and you stretch. Breathing deeply from your belly. Keep your standing leg straight with the knee blocked. Straight again and change. Raise one leg and put your feet above the bar and stretch the quads. Stretch your leg most that you can go behind with the other leg. Put your feet on the bar and stretch the quads. We're going to do a little bit of a power. Arms up on the sides. Keep your belly towards the floor, the chest. Bring your chin in and one and the other arm on the side. One up and change. forward for a count of 20 times or 10 times. You can start slowly and a little bit increase the times. Then relax again, sitting on your feet, your knees. Relax the head. There we go again. Go behind your mat. Another session of sit-ups. The kick together, feet together, an explosive sit-up. Make your heart work and your legs. Give it a power. Explosive for 10 to 15 times. Relax again. Do it all over again. Stretch the legs, arms together. Go ahead, forward, bend your knees. As you relax. For another 2 times. The count. Relax the legs. Stretch your back. Open again your legs. Stretch the knee, opposite hand to the feet, raising your chin, twisting your neck, and bending your knees. On the other side, for the same count of seconds or times that you bend the knee. Keep twisting your neck and raising your chin. Hand with the opposite to your feet. Up again. Arms side to side. A big step to the front. Bend the knee. And sit down for a count of 15 seconds. Change the leg, take a big step to the front, bending the knee, stretching forward, raising your chin, breathing from the belly, and change again. And place your fingers behind your neck. Another count of 10-15 times. Sit-ups with a power explosion. You can start your second round from here and do it each exercise for 15 to 20 times. Give it a try. And here, you're all by yourself. And see you next time.
Hallo und herzlich willkommen bei Bella Italia TV. Mein Name ist Lena Brandauer und ich habe die große Freude, 4 Tage lang hier am wunderschönen Gardasee zu verbringen. Wie ich meine Zeit am besten gestalte, das lese ich in der Gardasee-Zeitung. Und deswegen treffe ich jetzt die Redakteurin Kirsten Hofer. Bis gleich!
Als Special Prize erwarten wir in diesem Jahr eine Rolle in weltberühmten Balletttänzer mit einer neuen Show, denn wir bekommen fast jedes Jahr so für ausverkauftes Haus. Dann die zweite Special Prize ist Deutsch und dann haben wir noch ein anderes Verlaufen mit Ede Weine, Musik und Gender. Was steht da? Da hat man sich meiner Meinung nach die Weine nehmen, sich besser vorzustellen. Wir haben leider sehr weiß, bis viele Weine vorgebieten, die ganze Veranstaltung und im Weinangebot von der Stelle, das im Weinangebot ist, hat man sich dieses Event einfach stattfinden. Das nennt sich Police Challenge. Und zwar werden 16 Weingruppen, das Challenge einen Abend organisiert, damit man die Weine probieren kann und gleichzeitig schöne Musik hat, also vom Jazz bis in Rock. Also jedes Wein hat sich da ein bisschen was ausgedacht. Das Schöne ist, dass man das Ticket bekommt man in jedem Wein 2 Design. Das ist nicht wieder alles. Ja, das ist echt klar. Wenn ich mich verwandle, völlig verschiedene Landschaften. Und beide Arten, das kommt von sich und von daher sollten sie wirklich langsam sind. Und wenn man so eine Reise ganz vorne, dann sieht man auch den Norden.
We are in Mantova, UNESCO World Heritage Site. Mantova is a proof of an exceptional urban realization, architecturally and artistically, with its works of art from the Renaissance. Alessandro Colombo, journalist and editor. Riccardo Braglia, writer, journalist, honorary authority for artistic and historic heritage of the city of Mantova. Michela Rossi, representative for the Palazzo Te Foundation, will take us on a journey around the city considered to be a chest full of artistic treasures, filled with works by important names such as Mantegna, Pisanello and Giulio Romano.
Good morning, Europa, from Bella Italia TV. We are in Mantova. Mantova is one of the best towns of Lombardia, and we would like to introduce our special guest, Riccardo Braglia. Good morning, Riccardo.
Good
Welcome
morning,
to us. And with Riccardo, we would like to talk about Rigoletto House. Please, Riccardo, can you explain what does it mean, Rigoletto House, and the history of this special things?
Of course. So, Rigoletto House is a fake. As a matter of fact, this house belonged to the Cathedral of Mantua, St. Peter, and also today is the home of an important member of the Curia of Mantua, Monsignor Brunelli. But all the story of Rigoletto is a fake, because in the reality, Giuseppe Verdi decided to transform in an opera a famous novel by Victor Hugo. The title was Le Roi s'amuse, the king is amazing himself, and was the story of Francisco I of France and his adventures with the ladies of the court, and in particular with the daughter of his favorite joker called Blanche. But there was a big problem with the Austrian government, because during that period Mantua belonged to the Austrian Empire, and they decided it was absolutely impossible to propose an opera in which a consecrated king was defined, a humanizer, Don Giovanni, and so on. And so the poor Verdi, only 1 month before the premiere, had to change completely the story, and the Roi of France became the Duke of Mantua. Triboulet Rigoletto and Blanche Gilda. This is the real history of the opera. So it's absolutely like in Verona, the story of Giulietta and Romeo and Juliet. nothing of true, of course.
With Bella Italia TV, we are exploring our Italian town. So we have been in Verona, and we explain to everybody the history of Giulietta and Romeo. We would like to ask to Riccardo, how is the competition between Giulietta and Romeo and Rigoletto?
Well, the competition is nothing, because Rigoletto is a figure known by people that loves opera, and finished. On the contrary, Romeo and Juliet, everybody also in South Australia or in the island of Fiji, everybody knows the story, and so I think that the winner is Verona. Good evening to everybody. My name is Riccardo Graglia. I am basically an art historian, and I have studied in Italy, of course, and it is the fatherland of art, but also in Great Britain. I am also a journalist. I am a writer. I have published many books about the history of Mantua and the art in Italy. And I am, this is the last one thing, also a director, but not for film, not for theater, but only for opera. My last creation was an edition of Rigoletto by Giuseppe Verdi, created for the main theater of my town, that is Mantova.
We are walking around Mantova, and we are going to explore Palazzo Te. Palazzo Te is a masterpiece of Mantova, designed by Giulio Romano. We are here with Michaela Rossi. It's a pleasure to see you and to learn you about this building, this museum. Can you tell us, Michaela, something about this masterpiece of Mantova?
Yes, Palazzo Te was built by Giulio Romano and commissioned by Federico II Gonzaga, that was the Duke of Mantova, in 1535. Palazzo Te was a villa made for the leisure time of the Duke and the Gonzaga family, and that's why it was built a bit out of the city. Gonzaga family was living in Palazzo Ducale in the city center, and here in Palazzo Te they are used to make parties and dinners for their guests in Mantova. Giulio Romano designed the Palazzo Te and also all the architecture and the frescoes of Palazzo Te between 1525 and 1535, and the whole palace is designed and decorated by the master Giulio Romano, that came from the school of Raffaello Sanzio from Rome. So Federico Gonzaga called Giulio Romano from Rome to work in Mantova.
Michaela, what does it mean, leisure, in 1525, 1535 for Federico Gonzaga?
Federico Gonzaga was a great duke, and he was an estimator of art and leisure time, like feast or parties. He invited also the emperor here in Mantova and made a great dinner in Palazzo Te for the emperor. So that was the main use of Palazzo Te, because it was not a house, a normal palace, but it was a palace that room by room hosts guests and want to give a sense of wonder and beautifulness for all the people that came in Palazzo Te.
What we are going to see now, walking around the Palazzo Te?
Palazzo Te has some rooms very, very beautiful and famous all over Italy and Europe, like the room of horses that have some portraits of the real horses by Federico Gonzaga, or the room of giants that is all decorated from the floor to the ceiling with fresco of Giulio Romano.
Talking about the future, your museum, in which way will change the approach to the visitors? So, I mean, are you going to propose virtual reality visit also for coming from this museum?
Yes, we made an application for mobile with which people can just download on his mobile phone and go around Palazzo Te having a visit guided by our curators in Italian and in English. And we have also augmented reality and virtual reality path in the museum. And last year we start to digitalize some rooms, like room of horses and the giants room, because we want to face this time of digitalization and innovation also for arts and culture.
So we would like to invite everybody to take this app, to download this app, but mainly we would like to invite everybody to come here and to live the magic moment inside this Palazzo Te. Thank you, Michaela.
Thank you very much.
And keep in touch, and we are going to see the other room.
Sure.
In the sumptuous ducal apartment of Palazzo del Te. This fabulous palace was built by Giulio Romano, the favorite pupil of Raphael, and was built for Frederick II, Duke of Mantua. The period is between 1530 and 1539, or, according to another tradition, 1525, 1535. Nonetheless, the apartment, the Paris, is considered really a masterpiece of the Manneristic period. Mannerism is the late Renaissance period of European art. This room was originally the antechamber of the apartment, as it's called, room, or better, hall of the horses, because, as you can see, on the walls are painted 6 beautiful thoroughbreds that were real animals. They are not the fruit of Giulio Romano's fantasy. They were the 6 favorite horses of Duke Frederick II, fantastic example of the famous breed that was typical of the House of Gonzaga and well known everywhere, in Europe. The second hall of the apartment is this one, the so-called Psyche's room or Psyche's hall. Originally was the banqueting hall of the apartment. The name Psyche derives from the frescoes that you can admire on the ceiling and on these 2 walls. These frescoes, as a matter of fact, tell us the legend, the story, the tale maybe is better, of Psyche, that was a beautiful Greek princess, loved by Cupid, the god of love and the son of Venus, goddess of beauty and love, of course. It's a very complicated story because Venus was terribly jealous of Psyche, but after many problems and disaster and so on, the couple was able to marry, and Zeus, or Jupiter, as you like it, the king of the gods, created Psyche like a new goddess of the Olympus. The scene, the double scene on the 2 walls, is the wedding or nuptial, as you like it, banquet, where all the ancient divinities are invited. They are really easily recognizable from their attribute. For example, Apollo, the god of sun and the music, Bacchus, the god of wine, the nymph of the waters, and here the goddess Venus herself that is preparing the great, the sumptuous table for the wedding. And now the top, because this is the most famous hall of the Paris and unique or unicum in Latin, because nobody was similar to this room in the past and nobody will be similar to this room in the future. Is the great masterpiece of Giulio Romano, the so-called Hall of the Giants. As a matter of fact, the frescoes of the Roman painter tell us a famous pagan story, pagan legend, the revolution organized by the giants that you can see on the walls. They are horrible, stupid, with grotesque faces and so on. And they organized a revolution against Jupiter, the god, the king, sorry, of the gods that you can see on the top of the cupola of the dome. But as you can see, Jupiter with the lightning struck the giants, collapsing then in this cosmical catastrophe till reaching the Tartarus, that was the hell of the pagan religion. So this is the story wrote, if you want, with his color by Giulio Romano in this hall.
Walking together with Riccardo Braglia, and Riccardo Braglia will tell us something about Mantova, because Mantova is not just a little town, but it was also a capital. So what does it mean, capital, for this town?
The first thing to tell, is that Mantova is really, really ancient, because Mantova was an Etruscan town. So she's elder than Rome. And the period of glory, as a matter of fact, was the period of the house of the dynasty of Gonzaga. During this period, about 4 centuries, Mantua was the capital of a small state, indeed, but very famous all over in Europe for the splendor and the elegance of the court, and for the patronage of the member of the family, with very important artists like Tiziano, della Mantegna. Also Leonardo was for a brief period here in Mantua at the court of the Gonzaga, and so on. Rubens 8 years. He lived in Mantua 8 years, so was the most important painter of the first period of the Baroque age, and so on. So really fantastic palace.
So Riccardo, is very miscellaneous between history and art, this town.
Absolutely, because all the members of the family were dominated by the passion for art.
Now with Riccardo Braglia we are going inside the Palazzo Ducale.
Yes.
So we would like to discover Palazzo Ducale together.
With pleasure. Is a huge complex, about 35 also 1,000 square meters, and 500 about of rooms, 7 gardens, 8 quarters, the private church of the Gonzaga family, the private theater of the Gonzaga family. Really enormous, like the Forbidden City if you want in Peking.
So let's go to discover Palazzo Ducale.
With pleasure.
Riccardo, wonderful room. We are in the wedding room, but I don't know if in English the right name is wedding room.
Yes,
of
the translation
Mantegna.
of Camera degli Sposi, of course, is wedding room, but is not correct. The real name of the room during the 15th century, that is the period in which Andrea Mantegna decorated it, was a Latin name, Camera Picta, that means the most beautiful frescoed room existing in the world. This is the correct name, and Mantegna created this decoration for celebrating the glories of the Gonzaga family. In particular, in the background, there is the figure of Marquis Ludovico II seated on his throne, and around him numerous members of his family, beginning with the Marchioness Barbara of Brandenburg, so a German princess, because Brandenburg is Prussia, as a matter of fact. She's not very sexy, is a sort of member of the Adams family, but she was very clever, intelligent, with a fantastic taste, and so a good matching for the time. And the other young people are children of marginal family. And in particular, it's very funny, the young boy with the crimson hat, Ludovicino was. He was only 8 years old and already the rights of the Catholic Church of the period.
But Riccardo, let us know something about Andrea Mantegna. Andrea Mantegna was coming from Padova, and after he has a very successful in Mantova.
Sì. Andrea Mantegna arrived in Mantua in 1460, and he remained in the Gonzaga town till his death in 1506, dominating completely the artistical scene of the town.
Thank you. Now we are moving to another room.
With pleasure.
So Riccardo, we are walking on the Galleria of Exhibition, on the first floor of a new area of Palazzo Ducale.
Sì, the so-called Corte Nuova, the new court.
New court.
Because the palace is divided into sections. The old court that was started in the 13th century, and this part is the new court. Work started about 1530, 1532.
And what can we explain to us about this special place?
This is fantastic. Was built by Vincenzo I Gonzaga, the same Duke of Rigoletto, as a matter of fact, and it's called the Gallery of the Exhibition because the purpose was to show the most important treasures of the famous Gonzaga's collection of art. And you can understand easily this fact looking at this wall that is divided in 3 orders of niches.
All of these are Gonzaga?
No. These are Roman statues representing emperor and empresses. They are ancient. It is not the original place of these statues. They were in another part of the palace originally. No, here, in the first row of niches, there were a cupboard filled with the most unbelievable object of the Gonzaga collection of semi-precious stones. You have to imagine service for example, for the table, made in massive lapis lazuli, decorated with gold, pearl, diamonds, emeralds, rubies. The second row are frames for canvases. And for example, the most famous canvases exposed here was the Death of the Virgin by Caravaggio, that originally belonged to the Gonzaga family. And the third row is the unique, the only one that preserves also today the original destination. So they are niches, like a shell, oval shell if you want, for the exposition of Roman busts.
So it's so nice, very wonderful. And next step, where we are going to?
To a particular apartment for having just an idea of a typical collection of the Renaissance and Baroque age, the Wunderkammers, so the room of the beautiful things. Very particular collection that we can explain in a few minutes.
So we will see later.
Yeah.
Riccardo, Joseph Furtenberg, a German traveler, wrote that in this gallery display the hippopotamus. What does it mean?
No, nothing. So this gallery was, as a matter of fact, a naturalistic museum, but according to the ideas and the mentality of the period. So the object, the animals and so on, were chosen not for the importance in the natural history, but only when they were strange, bizarre, never seen in Europe and so on. And so the hippopotamus, of course, was one of these monsters, this wonder of the nature. But there was another object terrific in this gallery, was the mummified body of Passerino Buonaccorsi. The Buonaccorsi were the first lords of Mantua between the second half of the 13th century and the beginning of the 14th century. And Passerino was killed by Luigi Gonzaga, the first Gonzaga to reign over Mantua. And they preserved the mummified body of Passerino because, according to a legend, of course, this was a guarantee for the dynasty. Without the mummy, they believe that the dynasty ended up.
So that means that this hippopotamus is the original asset of Gonzaga.
Well, it's not the original one because the gallery was completely destroyed during the century, but it's very similar to the original one, yes.
Thank you, Riccardo. Let's move to another place. It seems to be in Versailles, but we are still in Mantova. In Mantova, we are in the very nice gallery, the Mirrors Gallery. Riccardo, can you explain to us something about this gallery of mirrors?
Yes, but as a matter of fact, it's a last realization and not ordered by the Gonzaga family, because we are in the second half of the 18th century, at the beginning of the neoclassical style, when the Gonzaga lost completely the lordship of Mantua. On the contrary, was the Emperor George II, the brother of the poor Marie Antoinette, decapitated during the French Revolution. So it was George II that ordered the realization of this sumptuous, elegant decoration that is a sort of imitation, empire style imitation of the famous Galerie de Glace at Versailles.
But we are in Mantova,
Absolutely.
and Mantova maybe is better than Versailles for some point of view.
Why not?
Why not? Thank you, Riccardo. We are going to another place now. So, Riccardo, we are moving on the Palazzo Ducale outdoor, and we are on the special garden, hanging garden. Can you explain to us the particularity of this garden?
Yes, this is fantastic. I adore it. Also because it is unique in the world. It is the only real hanging garden existing in the world. And as a matter of fact, there is a difference of 11 meters from the level of the garden and the level of the ground floor. It was built by order of the Duke William I of Mantua, that desired to have in his palace one of the famous seven wonders of the ancient times, and in particular this was a reproduction, smaller reproduction of course, of the famous Hanging Gardens of Babylonia.
In Babylonia.
Yeah.
Thank you, Riccardo. Now we are moving to the last place. Riccardo, behind ourselves there is one of the best tapestry in the world. Can you explain to us the details of this tapestry?
Yes. The Ducal Palace of Mantua possesses this unbelievable collection of 9 tapestries designed by Raffaello and woven in Bruxelles. Amidst the 9 pieces, this one, the Miraculous Fishing, is considered the most beautiful Renaissance tapestry existing in the world. And this in particular for the play of reflection of the figures of Jesus Christ and the apostles in the water of the Lake of Tiberias that you can admire and really shocking. On the contrary, the most famous medieval tapestry is in Paris, Hotel de Cluny, is very famous also. This one, La Dame à la Licorne.
But this one is the most important.
For the Renaissance, for the medieval, La Dame à la Licorne.
Thank you, Riccardo. Now we would like to show the tapestry directly to our on our television.
Yes.
Let's go ahead in this way.
Hello my friends, I'm in Pisa with the staff of BellaItalia.tv to visit this outstanding Italian city in the region of Tuscany, full of fans and tourists coming from all around the world to visit these awesome monuments, the Leaning Tower, the cathedral, the baptistry. Behind me, a sunny day is perfect for visit this city. We are here and we try to let you know all the beauties around here, and I hope that you can enjoy this special show of Explore Italy. Enjoy Pisa, stay with us, Bella Italia TV in Pisa. Hello my friends, I'm in Piazza dei Miracoli, like I said before, one of the most outstanding places in Italy and in the world. We had the opportunity to speak with tourists coming from all around the world. We met people from Australia, from North America, from South America, so let's go listening to their comments to our microphone for BellaItalia.tv.
Yep.
See?
We originally came for the Giro d'Italia. We did a bike style tour on bikes, and we rode Stelvio and a couple of other climbs. And we saw the finish with our Australian guy winning the race.
Hindley.
And what about the beauty of this place, of this outstanding city?
I can't believe how much marble we have mined out of the earth. It's just incredible, and the workmanship for when it was done is just mind-blowing.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It looks like a cake to me, the fine detail and the intricate carving.
Yeah.
It's just, we have nothing like this in Australia, nothing, so it's beautiful. You can only find this in Italy, I think.
It wasn't on my bucket list originally, but I'm pleased that I came now and had a look, because it is really sensational.
And you visit all Italy, which is your favorite place?
Wow. Lucca, we've only been there 3 days, but Lucca is really good.
Yeah, great site. We love cycling, so that's the Dolomites were spectacular.
Wow.
Everywhere we love the differences. So I love cooking, so we've been to Modena and Parma, and looking for all the typico food
From
and wine.
Bologna.
Yeah, Bologna,
Yeah.
Cinque Terre.
Yeah, we've been eating our way through Italy.
Yeah, I've put on 20 kilograms.
And according to your experience, Italy is a place you can visit easily by bike or what?
Yes.
It's
wonderful. The Italian drivers are very respectful, so I feel safe riding in Italy, and there are fantastic bike paths. We've just ridden mainly on a gravel path from Lucca.
Down the river?
It's beautiful, it's
Yeah.
safe, and it's the best way to meet people and have a local experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's equal with France and Spain for cycle touring, I would have thought. Nice and easy.
I think it's better than France.
Yeah, better than France, yeah.
Definitely, no.
Equal with Spain?
No.
No? In
No,
front
I
of
think
Spain?
Italians are so passionate about their cycling,
Yeah.
and it's a common language. Even we were talking with the owners of the bike store in Lucca, and even though I don't have much Italian and the gentleman didn't have much English, we could still communicate about
Ooh.
bicycles. It was,
And
yeah.
Mario Cipollini comes from Lucca.
Yeah,
That's his hometown, yeah. We haven't seen him yet, but
we're looking.
we're looking for him.
So, boys, thank you very much for being here and enjoy your visit.
Your country's amazing, and more people should come and have a look because it's just stunning. It
Thanks
really
for
is.
taking the time to have a
Yeah.
chat with us. It's been really
And
good.
thanks for sharing
Most
your country.
enjoyable.
It's great.
Right.
Grazie, grazie mille.
Grazie mille.
We're from California. It's our first time in Italy, and we think all the monuments and everything are just beautiful.
Oh, it's great. This is it's just a great experience to come out here and just to take in everything that Italy has to offer.
And why from California you decided to went here, and why Pisa?
It's a bucket list trip for me. I've always wanted to go since I was a little girl, and for our 25th wedding anniversary, we decided to come. COVID happened, so here we are 2 years later, but we still made it, so we're excited.
Okay. And are you here also for the Luminara of San Daniele this evening or not?
No, we're just here on our cruise ship, and it's just a tour, and then we're going to end up going back to the cruise ship.
But we hope to catch some of it because we don't go back till later, and it'll be dark, so we
Yeah.
hope to see some of it on our way back.
Okay. Thank you very much for being here, and enjoy your visit, of course.
Thank you.
Well, I'm from Florida in the United States. It's my first time here, and I think it's beautiful. I think the architecture is amazing, and they've done an amazing job keeping it restored and looking beautiful.
Which is your favorite monument here?
Well, my favorite moment, I suppose, or the moment I'll remember the most, is trying really hard to get a good picture of me holding up the tower. So far, I've been unsuccessful.
And are you here also for the Luminara of San Daniele this evening?
No, unfortunately, I'm on a tour, so I won't be able to stay for the celebration.
Thank you very much for being here, and enjoy your visit.
Thank you very much.
Hola, hola, bueno, nosotros somos de Chile, estamos de vacaciones acá en Italia recorriendo todos los más bonitos lugares de aquí de este país. Creo que uno de mis monumentos favoritos son la Torre de Pisa junto con el Vaticano, que ayer fuimos para allá. Muy, muy bonito todo y bueno, increíble la arquitectura aquí de esta torre.
We're from the United States, Arizona. Go ahead.
And the tower is absolutely beautiful. You hear about it your whole life, and then you finally get to come here and see it.
You're from Arizona. Why you choose Pisa?
Well, it's one of the top 10 things of the world, so we wanted to go see it.
From this unusual point of view of the Leaning Tower in Pisa, to talk about the Luminara di San Ranieri, a wonderful event that they organize every June here in Pisa, all along the Arno River, with many thousands of firelights switched on to create a unique and a wonderful atmosphere. Let's see it.
inside the Palazzo della Pilota in Parma, this huge building that was started in the second half of the 16th century, but renewed, changed so many times till the beginning of the 19th century. So, like in the case of this gallery, we can find a hall, a structure belonging to the neoclassical period with columns, arches, and niches, and so on, built, realized surround the gust of this neoclassical or imperial, as you like, period. In this gallery is collected a part of the famous painting collection of the National Gallery of Parma, that is very rich of canvases from different periods, but here in particular there is a fascinating collection of portraits for the major part related to the Bourbon family. Bourbon of Spain, because the last Farnese, the last member of the Farnese ducal family was a lady, Elizabeth, and she married Philip III, the first Bourbon king of Spain, the same dynasty of Juan Carlos or Felipe today. And so Parma was inherited by one of the sons of Elizabeth and became a dominion of a secondary branch of the Spanish royal family. Well, and always in this nice, elegant gallery, there is a real great masterpiece that is the statue that you can see, made of marble of Carrara by Antonio Canova. Surely the most important sculptor of the neoclassical period in Europe. He worked for the popes, he worked for Napoleon, the Tsars of Russia adored to collect his creation and so on. And this is particular because the statue represents Maria Luisa of Austria, so from Habsburg, like a Roman empress, or maybe like the god Juno, the goddess, Juno, the queen of the gods, in the Greek and Roman mythology. The statue was realized after the collapse of the Napoleon Empire, and is situated in Parma, and in particular in this museum since that period, as a matter of fact. You can admire the most astonishing structure of the Palazzo della Pilota in Parma. I mean the famous Teatro Farnese, that was the court theatre of the ducal family, Farnese of course. The theatre was created about in 1618, and was designed by an architect, an artist called Argenta. Pay attention, because Argenta, that was quite famous during this period, was not the traditional architect who designs churches, towers, palaces. No, no, no. He was specialized in, we can say, the ephemeros, so in beautiful things but destined to be destroyed after a brief period. So scenery, triumphal arches, statues and so on, created in very cheap material just for, I don't know, a tournament or a big ceremony organized outside the palace, or for the entering, the arrival of important state guests like the emperor or the pope, for example. So the idea entering was of an ancient theater like in Greece or Rome, made of pure marble. And another thing fantastic was the ceiling, no longer existing, that was made with a huge fabric of cotton or silk maybe, painted to give him the idea of the free sky with clouds, with cherubs and so on, like into a Greek classical theater. And another thing, the theater was decorated with a lot of statues. The major part of them disappeared, of course, during the bombing, but we have, for example, the new that the lower balustrade was decorated with statues of Putos holding torches for giving the correct illumination during the show. And another and the last fantastic thing is that the theater could be filled by water. In such a way, the Farnese could organize inside the theater the famous ship battle of the ancient Romans. Things are really unbelievable but true. Well, now we are in the beautiful Palatine Bibliothèque of Palazzo della Pilotta, where is organized a part of the great large exhibition that the town has dedicated this year to the ducal family. And this part of the bibliothèque is the most charming because it was organized for giving to the public the idea of the type of collectionism between the end of the 16th and the beginning of the 17th century, not only in Parma but generally in Europe. The collection of royal families were composed by canvases, of course, and here in the Palatine Bibliothèque we have a magnificent portrait of Pope Paul III, made by Titian, by Tiziano in Italian. Paul III was really the founder of the glories of his family, because till Paul III, the Farnese were, yes, a noble family, but of a small nobility, not very important, of the era of Viterbo, not far from Rome. When Paul III became cardinal with the name of Alessandro Farnese, the destiny of the family changed completely, because Alessandro was a very clever, also astute gentleman with a beautiful, beautiful sister, Giulia Farnese, considered one of the most fascinating ladies of the century. And he was so able to introduce the sister in the bed of the Pope reigning in this period, the terrible Alexander Borgia, the father of Lucrezia Borgia. And of course, the old Pope, the old Alexander, lost his head completely with the beauty of Julia, and so he started to give honor, money, richness, and so on to the family. And in a brief time, the Farnese family became one of the most important of Rome. After some years, the same Alessandro was created Pope during the council, and in such a way he was able to complete in a definitely way the glory of the family and also the history of Parma, because Parma was originally an independent commune, a free commune, but belonging to the States of the Church. And Alessandro decided to create a duchy, the Duchy of Parma and Piacenza, for his first-born son, Pierluigi Farnese. Yes, son of the Pope, most normal during the period. And in such a way started the domination of the family on this area of northern Italy. So, in this box, in this cupboard, we have a really sumptuous object, en français, a coffre, a casket, that is made of gilded silver, precious stones, and well, these are fantastic. They are not pieces over glasses, but is rock crystal worked in exceptional way in Milan, because during the period the most important factory for the semi-precious stones were in Milan. And this rich object is, in a very simple way, a box for containing the real masterpiece, that is the famous tazza Farnese, in English Farnese cup. As a matter of fact, it's not a cup, it's a patera or fial. It was a vase used during the sacrifices in the pagan, in the pagan religion, but currently the name was coppa, was cup, and is in calcedonio, so semi-precious stones with different layers of different colors that are used, that were, but also today used by the creator of cameos for obtaining the different chromatic solution of the composition. This is beautiful for two fundamental motives. The artistic value, that is terribly high, the execution of the figures in the middle that represent the glory of the empire, the richness of the empire, are made in a fantastic way with fantastic details. But the other important thing are the dimensions, because this is the largest cameo existing in the world. And more is a Roman cameo, so you can imagine the value of this beautiful piece of art. Well, we have seen the portrait by Titian representing the Pope Paul III, Farnese, the founder of the glory of the family, but the most famous member of the dynasty is not the Pope, but Alessandro Farnese, his nephew, that you can see here in particular original but very nice paintings in which the young Duke of Parma is meeting and speaking in a very confidential way with a goddess. She's not properly a goddess, it's the mythological representation of the town of Parma. And it's very easy to understand it because near the goddess there is a shield with an oval shape. And in Latin, this variety of shields of the Roman army were called Parma. Probably, we are not sure, the name of this city derives from the original shape of the town that was oval, like a Parma of the Roman soldiers. But coming back to Alessandro, Alessandro was an unbelievable man, very cultivated, a very handsome man. He married the daughter of the King of Portugal, so a royal marriage. He was full of cultural and literary interests, and more, this is important, was a fantastic politician and a mythological man of war. As a matter of fact, the King of Spain, Philip II, every time had problems in war, for example with the Belgian provinces that were under the Spanish domination, but they didn't like this, so there were a revolution every 2 days. Regularly, the king, Philip II, sent the Duke of Parma to control, to solve the situation. So, really a great personage. And now, a thing that I adore, well, there is not the value of the tazza farnese that is without price, but is fantastic and was an object that was almost common during the late 16th century. You can see is a silver statuette representing a deer mounted by the goddess of the hunting, Diana. But in the reality is a play, for adults of course, used during the banquet. Well, it's very easy to see that there is an hole for a key, because in the reality a sort of robot. When you have used the key, you can put the statue on the table and the statue moves with a very strange movement and so on. Moves for a few minutes. The use was that the gentleman or the lady facing which the statue was still was created the king or the queen of the banquet, and the head of the deer, you can open it, and in the reality is a little glass, the body is full of wine and so on, and the new king of the new queen was served with this symbol of the new situation. For me, it's fantastic. If you want, a little bit stupid, but sometimes the stupid things are the most amazing. This was the original destination of the statue of Diana. We are in Parma. That is another very, very interesting town, but unluckily not appreciated as it merits, because also for Italian people, not only for the foreigners, Parma is prosciutto, means prosciutto, yes, ham in English. This is okay because the Parma ham is one of the most fantastic Italian food that you can find, but the city Parma is far, far more than ham. Also, Parma was a capital of an independent state, very small, because before the reunification of Italy. The Dukes of Parma were not the Gonzaga like in Mantua, but the Farnese family, another important dynasty of our history, and grace to the presence of the court, of the Farnesian court, the town was decorated with elegant palaces, beautiful churches, and so on. For example, behind me, you can see one of the many facades of a particular building that was a part of the ducal residence of Farnese, and is called Palazzo della Pilotta. Well, Pilotta is a very bizarre name also for the Italian people, because you can find it only in Parma, and is the transformation of a Spanish word, pelota, that means ball. As a matter of fact, the game of pelota is one of the ancestors of the actual game of tennis. Different, of course, for many, many things, but the idea is the same, is to launch a ball by means of something like, also the hand, very simply, but as a matter of fact, it's called, in français, jeu de paume. Fine. Now we can have a visit of the historical medieval center of Parma that is articulated around two famous squares. The first one is Piazza Duomo, that means Cathedral Square, because it's dominated by the Cathedral of Parma, a very ancient building, and there are also the Palace of the Bishop, Romanesque age, so about 12th century. But the most important building is the Baptistry of Parma. This is the masterpiece of a great architect and sculptor between the Roman and the Gothic period, whose name is Benedetto Antelami. Well, the inside of the cathedral, as a matter of fact, is the original Romanesque one, with the so-called Matroneum, that is the upper gallery, reserved originally to the lady, because during the past, ladies and men cannot follow the Mass, the service altogether. But today it's quite impossible to understand immediately that is the original medieval church, because it was covered by a series of very rich frescoes, both in the ceiling and during the walls of the nave. And among these frescoes, the most important one is the cycle that we can see in the cupola of the church, is the Assumption of Virgin Mary to the heaven after her death, and is considered the absolute masterpiece of Correggio, sorry, but the two were related, and so sometimes, the name is Correggio, that was the most important exponent, member of the Parmesan school of painting. He lives between, during the first part of the 16th century. So, now we can admire one of the 4 doors of the baptistry of Parma, an absolute masterpiece of sculpture and architecture between the end of the Romanesque and the beginning of the Gothic period. I already told that the name of the master was Benedetto Antelami, and the baptistry is octagonal, but not for a question of taste or fashion. No, it's a symbol, a Christian symbol, early Christian symbol, because the number 7 was a representation of a complete cycle ended and complete. With the number 8, we have the beginning of a new cycle of 7. And this is very important for the Christian baptism, because we know that with the water, the holy water, the new Christian is death to the sin, so 7, ended cycle, and is beginning a new cycle, number 8, in the grace of Christ. So in particular, this door is really fantastic, because you can see the Pantocrator, that is the Jesus Christ omnipotence in Latin, surrounded by angels, by prophets, by martyrs, and so on. An important thing discovered by my sister. My sister is specialized in the restoration of these old things. Originally, the sculptures, the reliefs, were painted with very, very lavish, lively colors: red, blue, green, gold, a lot of pure gold. But alas, the major part of this painted and gilded decoration disappeared because of weather, rain, sun, and so on. It's a pity, but originally it was in this condition.
Mr. Riccardo, you're one of the greatest art historians in Italy. So when did you really fall in love with art?
Well, thank you for the great art historian. It's really kind of you. Well, when I was really a baby, because I remember that I was about 5 years old, and for the first time my parents asked me about the present of birthday, because normally it was chosen without asking me my desires. For the first time, 5 years old, I asked the complete collection of Mozart concerts.
At 5 years, which is not a normal thing for a 5-year-old child. And then, how was your?
And then, well, apart from classical music, that is also today a great passion for me, in particular operas, and I act also like director for operas like Rigoletto, Traviata, and so on. Immediately after, there was a new passion that was history, but not the contemporary or 19th century. For me is a little boring, but the ancient history, so Egyptian, Greek, Romans, and then medieval period, Renaissance period, Baroque period. And I was fascinated in particular by the great figures, personages of the history, like, I don't know, Cleopatra, or Nerone, Nero in English, and then the Emperor Frederick II of Sweden, Peter the Great of Russia, And so also with the help of this interest for the personages, the most important personages, also history became one of my passions.
You traveled a lot and you start traveling at 13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
Yes. Well, I was really young, sorry. Naturally, I traveled not like a tourist, but for the languages. So I spent 1 month, 2 months during summer in Great Britain or United States or France. And for me was a very important experience and really beautiful for me, because as a young boy I had the occasion of meeting people of completely different civilization, languages, culture, a very stimulating experience for my brain.
You made the experience of college, but you didn't like it?
No, the college for me was really a disaster for 2 reasons. I am not a man for colleges. For me they are oppressing, sad, dark. No. I like to be free. And the second thing is that college, for example, in England, were crowded by Italians. So you had not occasion, apart from the hours of the lessons, to speak English for the normal things of the life, and that is very important. So after 2 terrible experiences in colleges, I changed completely my destination, and I spent this cultural period only living with local family.
Mr. Riccardo, you have an impressive life. So, what is one of the most important things for you today?
But, well, of course, my family, my sister in particular, animals, because I adore pets and in particular cats. But yes, there is a thing about I am really proud. Is an activity of volunteering, better correct pronunciation. For example, in prisons, each week or each 15 days, I go to the Mantua's prisons for teaching history of art, of people living in this situation, and also the criminal asylum. There is a criminal asylum very, very important in the province of Mantua, with people that did terrible things, but it's not their fault. It's the mental illness that acted for them. And also in this case, I organize, it depends from the years, courses of art or courses of classical music, also courses of cooking, for example. And is really a fantastic experience. In particular, the criminal, the guests of the criminal asylum, they have a love for me that is fantastic. For me, these are the really important things in the life. To be able to understand the others, also if they are capable of something, but we are human beings, so they are not gods or angels. And to try, for your limited experience, to give an help to these people. For me, this is fundamental.
What is your object for the future?
This is a big question. The only answer is all, because I am interested in all the branches of human culture, and I never stop to study. The major part of people at the end of university has finished. No, I am still studying every day, each day, because every day, each day I discover new things, fantastic, that I want to study, to appreciate, and so to live 1,000 years, but not for living stupid, but for having the time of appreciating and studying all the new things that I discover continuously.